Hey, my name is Leanne, and I'm fascinated with helping women navigate how to eat, move, and care for their bodies. This has taken me on a journey from vegan, keto, high protein to everything in between. I'm a small town holistic nutritionist turned 3-time international bestselling author turned functional medicine practitioner, offering telemedicine services around the globe to women looking to better their health and stop second-guessing themselves. I'm here to teach you how to wade through the wellness noise to get to the good stuff that'll help you achieve your goals. Whether you're seeking relief from chronic ailments, striving for peak performance, or simply eager to live a more vibrant life, this podcast is your go-to resource for actionable advice and inspiration. Together, we'll uncover the interconnectedness of nutrition, movement, sleep, stress management, and mindset, empowering you to make informed choices that support your unique health journey. Think of it as quality time with your bestie mixed with a little med school so you're empowered at your next doctor visit. Get ready to be challenged and encouraged while you learn about your body and how to care for it healthfully. Join me as we embrace vitality, reclaim our innate potential, and discover what it truly means to pursue healthfulness. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to the Healthful Pursuit Podcast. I am so glad that you're here with me today because this conversation is one that so many of all of us need to hear right now. My name is Leanne. If you're new around these parts, I'm a functional wellness practitioner. I am a holistic nutritionist. I've been in this space since 2008. I've seen a lot of things. And if you are deep in your healing journey and things feel hard and uncomfortable and even worse than before, you're not alone. And I wanted to make a full episode on this because a lot of us feel like we're doing stuff wrong when we're healing from stuff and we feel worse, and it stops a lot of us from moving forward. And I have this conversation with so many one-on-one clients that I wanted to just lay it all out in one episode for everyone. So today's focus is really about why discomfort during healing can be a sign that your body is responding, not failing. So today we're diving into why healing doesn't always feel good and why that's actually a good sign that things are changing, shifting, and moving in the right direction. So we're going to talk about detox symptoms, hormone rebalancing, and what to expect versus what to question, and how to support yourself through the messiness. So I got a whole lot of thoughts around this. Like I said, I've been working one-on-one with clients since 2008. I've seen so much, and I've worked with many clients throughout the years in really supporting their processes of healing. And there's a very common theme throughout all of this. And a lot of it has to do with knowing when the body is healing and knowing when what you're doing isn't working. And so I'm hoping that by sharing this, I can bring some clarity to the process for you. And we've all seen it, the wellness promise that you're on the right plan and you're going to feel amazing within days, like ladies eating salads and so happy. And but the real functional healing work, it's not always the case. Biologically speaking, when you mobilize toxins and kill off pathogens or adjust hormones, I remember the first time I detoxed estrogen, I felt like my brain was going to explode. I think it was around 2018, and I tested very high for estrogen. I was just getting into detoxification and opening up my liver pathways and just all of that, liver pathway, I should say, and all of that. And my total estrogen came back at 270. That is too high. So I did a little bit more testing, determined what supplement would be best for me, and started on it. And I went at a very, I think it was a quarter of a dose, and my brain felt like it was going to explode. And I knew that the best way forward was to continue with the supplement. And after a couple of weeks, my estrogen was lower. I had made other changes during that time, and my estrogen never has gotten back to that elevated amount. Not because of the supplement directly. The supplement definitely triggered the detoxification for me, but it was all the extra supports that I was doing so that problem never came up. Okay, so that's what we want with all of these things, but oftentimes there's going to be symptoms as we detoxify. So throughout today's episode, when I'm talking about detoxification and drainage pathway work, and you're like, Leanne, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't even know where to start. I actually offer a group for this, and you can join at any time and be guided through this. It's called the Root Cause Monthly Program. And it allows you to work through your root cause issues in community. And I'm always there to support you. And it's a lot more lower of a cost than working with me directly. But we go through root cause protocols of parasites and heavy metals and mold and chemicals and opening up drainage pathways. And I educate you on how this works and how to open them and how to detoxify. So throughout today's episode, if you're looking for more of that guidance, you can go to the show note links. And in there will be a link to sign up to that program. Okay. So when we're mobilizing these toxins and killing off these pathogens, we are oftentimes going to go through a process to create these changes. And that's often messy. Like if you take the Herx reaction, for example, it's a medically documented immune response that occurs when dying bacteria or yeast release toxins. Studies on Lyme specifically show that 90% of patients experience flu-like symptoms within 24 to 72 hours of starting treatment on Lyme disease. So this die-off then floods the system with inflammatory cytokines like IL-6, TNF-alpha, and this results in fatigue, fever, aches, brain fog, etc. In mold detox, we also see a similar phenomenon. When mold or candida die, they release mycotoxins that can temporarily overwhelm the liver and the lymphatic system. And this is why it is so key to make sure that our drainage pathways are open before we detoxify. And even that redox has occurred before that. And in fact, saying that out loud, I know what we need to do, a redox episode. I am going to write that in the ideas document right now because you're like, redox, what is that? So if you want to learn more about the mold detoxification and the releasing of mycotoxins, you can look up some resources like from Dr. Becky Campbell. When we are going through this detoxification process, it's very common to experience headaches, mood changes, skin flares, and so much more. This doesn't mean that your plan is failing. It means that your body is working through the plan. Okay. So I've personally gone through this myself. I did a pretty intense mold detoxification protocol a bunch of years ago. And I remember experiencing headaches, joint pain, sleep disruption, and just thinking, oh man, am I making myself worse? Like I've studied this, experiencing this firsthand. This is next level. But understanding that the reactions are mobilized toxins and it can oftentimes be a sign of just the process of detoxification and an alert that either you're not prepared for detox, meaning you don't have the proper mineral structure. Like in a mold detoxification process, what will usually happen is that you will experience symptoms for a week or two as you're detoxifying. If they're going further than that, then it could be a sign that we're not properly redoxed. Just a really simple explanation of this is that your minerals and mitochondria are not prepared enough to detoxify and or that your drainage pathways are just not opened enough. Okay. So one client of mine, kind of loop in the parasite stuff. One client of mine started a parasite cleanse and had 3 days of intense fatigue, brain fog, had to take time off work. And we supported her detox pathways with magnesium, binders, hydration. And by day 5, she started sleeping better and saw improved digestion and skin clarity. So when we start to detoxify, if it takes 1 or 2 weeks to kind of settle in, that's fine. If it's longer than a couple of weeks, in my experience, it's because your body's not prepared for detox and you kind of need to back up, work on redox, work on your drainage pathways, and then come back in. Another example would be increased hunger and irritability when you start working through hormone balancing and become more hormone balanced. This is not failure. It's just the body adjusting to stabilize blood sugar and cortisol patterns. And so sometimes what you think is an error is just the body recuperating. And so my rule of thumb is like 1 to 2 weeks of symptoms, we good. 2+, we need to look at it further and assess whether or not this is that our protocol is missing something or we're lacking in something, or we have an inability to move forward until we correct something. I've been using MOPure for over a year, and I can honestly say it's made a huge difference in how much I'm able to take on both in and outside the gym. After my workouts, I recover faster, feel less fatigued, and have the energy to keep up with everything else on my plate. MOPure works by supporting cellular health at the foundation, promoting renewal with a precise dose of urolithin A to recharge your cells and clear out the old dysfunctional ones. Whether your goal is to regain energy, build strength, or simply feel more confident in your skin, MOPure is the perfect partner for your journey. It's clinically proven to combat age-related cellular decline, and I can feel the results every day. For January only, Timeline is offering 33% off your first order. Don't wait. Unlock your potential with MOPure today. Go to timeline.com/KDP33. That's TIMELINE.com/KDP33. So let's break it down, like why this is happening, what's happening, the types of things that can happen throughout this process of healing. So if you have embarked on killing off pathogens like bacteria, yeast, or parasites, perhaps you've worked with a practitioner like myself and done like a GI map, and we have the GI map or stool test results. We come up with an antimicrobial plan, and we're releasing endotoxins and cell debris as we are killing off these pathogens. And this will trigger your immune system to cause inflammation, which can mimic illness. But it's not illness, it's the inflammation from the killing. And if your body is strong enough, it should overcome that inflammation. If it's not, you'll kind of be stuck and dysregulate your nervous system. Okay, so symptoms are going to include body aches, fatigue, chills, nausea, brain fog, skin breakouts. This is often called the Herx reaction and usually lasts about 1 to 3 days, as long as you properly address the Herx well. Okay. But if it's lasting 2+ weeks, chances are that immune system trigger causing inflammation has caused mast cell activation, which has caused histamine release, which is causing more inflammation. Your nervous system is just stuck in the cell danger response, and that requires further action. Okay. We have hormone calibration. Okay, so when you're starting hormone therapy, like let's say thyroid medication or bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, often causes this temporary side effect, like insomnia, for example. When starting thyroid medication, your body is not used to the upregulation of your metabolism, and you can just be awake or be really, really hungry. You can experience mood swings or breast tenderness, and these usually resolve in a few weeks. And your body is learning how to balance with these new levels and adjusting its feedback loops, its receptor sensitivity, its metabolism. Like if you bring in progesterone into an estrogen dominant system, not necessarily that the estrogen is too high, but that the progesterone to estrogen ratio is off, that progesterone is going to feel really strange for the first week or two. But again, when it comes to the hormone recalibration, what I see here and the errors here is if a hormone was introduced wrongfully, like if we're bringing in, let's say, for example, thyroid medication, because I see this quite often. If we're bringing in thyroid medication, but the thyroid is deactivating active thyroid hormone into reverse T3 because it doesn't want thyroid hormone, you're going to feel terrible, and that terribleness is not going to go away. It's going to be 2+ weeks. You're on your thyroid medication. You're like, man, I felt better off of this. It's because your body was actually deactivating the thyroid hormone to protect you from something. And now you're forcefully shoving thyroid hormone into a body that's saying, I don't want thyroid hormone. Okay. So there's the detoxification or recalibration process for each of these. And then there's the body is not prepared for this. The body doesn't want this. We need to adjust the plan. Okay. Another process that I see through heavy metal detox, specifically in chelation or binder protocols, is that we're pulling metals from the tissues into circulation that can temporarily increase symptoms like fatigue and headaches. And that's why practitioners emphasize slow progression and kidney support, liver support throughout a heavy metal detox. Heavy metals circulating through the system can also cause issues with mineral balance. So if all of a sudden you started a heavy metal detoxification protocol and 2+ weeks you're feeling absolutely terrible, again, it's likely needed that we need to do a redox protocol before you do your heavy metal detox if you're just not feeling good on the heavy metal detox. Withdrawal and habits can also play a role in all of this. So, we talked about the types of problems, the detox and die off, hormone recalibration, heavy metal detox, and then there's the changing of habits and just withdrawal symptoms. For example, caffeine, sugar, alcohol. These aren't necessarily die off reactions, they're more hormonal readjustments. I'll never forget, Kevin my husband tested high for methylation issues. And at the time, I was a fresh nutritionist, like right out of school, didn't know much about methylation. It was very the up and coming thing in the health and wellness space in about 2010, even before like paleo grabbed onto it and started talking about MTHFR. And I was researching that caffeine can actually blunt the response. So we removed coffee. And after a couple of days, Kevin, he drank so much coffee, like cups and cups and cups of coffee every day. And he came out of bed one day and was like, I don't feel good. There's something wrong with me. And we were like, oh boy, what's going on? And then I realized, I'm like, this is a caffeine withdrawal. And so you can feel terrible when you change those life processes and habits, just like you would feel bad if you incorporated new hormones or die off. And I felt like there was enough experience there to at least highlight it throughout this process that we're going through today. So we want to distinguish between a healing reaction and a harm reaction. Like what I talked about with the mycotoxins. If you're detoxifying and for a couple of weeks, you just don't feel good, that makes sense. But 2+ weeks, I would say, okay, there's probably something going on with the drainage pathways. Your liver will be blocked by mycotoxins. So as you're detoxifying mold, the mycotoxins are going to recirculate. And mycotoxins, I wouldn't say number one goal, but definitely up there, is to block liver drainage. And so you have to stay on top of liver drainage. And so if you're having these symptoms 2+ weeks into a new mold protocol, it's likely that your drainage pathway, specifically your liver, is struggling. Okay. So again, if I'm like talking Greek to you, okay, check out the show notes. There's a link in there that will take you to my root cause group. There's a small group of us and we go through these things, and I'm always available as a resource in there if you're going through these processes and you have individualized questions in regards to drainage and detox. And I have full-on protocols and videos and everything for you to watch on this that goes far deeper into it. So we would expect healing symptoms to include things like fatigue, headache, mood changes, mild skin flares, digestive upset, worsening of existing symptoms for like a few days up to about 2 weeks. And they should be temporary, manageable, and followed by improvement. If symptoms worsen or they're continuous or they include severe GI distress, rashes, fainting, breathing issues, these are red flags. And we can sometimes push through it because we think, oh yeah, I'm detoxing, this is great, because we want to heal. But that's a flag to say, okay, we have to either go slower or we redo the plan. So going slow and low is always good for new supplements. We want to look at our elimination. If you incorporated a mold detox protocol and all of a sudden you haven't gone to the bathroom in 3 days, you got to back up, okay? Figure out where your hydration, fiber is happening, and even bring in stuff like magnesium or antimicrobials to encourage bowel movements, because we got to keep that moving. We also, the amount of individuals I work with on a one-on-one basis who have gone through detox protocols before, and none of the detox protocols include binders, it blows my mind. Absolutely every protocol that's detoxifying should include a binder, okay? That can include things from Aspalardi to N-acetylcysteine to ideally charcoal, bentonite, those sorts of things. I would definitely encourage you to consider antioxidant support throughout the process, especially if you're having issues like vitamin C and glutathione. And rest. Rest is a big thing. Healing requires a parasympathetic tone that oftentimes when we are imbalanced and sick, we don't have. And so chiropractic, acupuncture, grounding yourself in the earth with bare feet in dirt can do wonders. You know what's often the hardest part when we're incorporating these metal detoxes or mold or GI results, or we're incorporating hormone replacement therapy, or we're adjusting our caffeine or sugar intake and we're having these responses? The hardest part is not necessarily the physical symptoms, but the self-doubt that comes with them. And I talked about this in previous episodes. It was actually a part 1 and 2 of the series. Of part 1 was called The Secret to Real Results Is Not a New Plan. It's ... And that was released on March 11th of 2025. Highly recommend listening to that. And also part 2 of the series, episode 520, which released on April 8th of 2025, called part 2. Okay. And in there, I talk a lot about why it's not necessarily that you need a new plan or that things that you're doing is not working. You're not receiving results because you have self-doubt about the process, because you don't know why you're doing the thing. So if you've been told by a practitioner, you have parasites, we need to kill them off, the next question is why? Like, what are the parasites doing in my body that is causing the issue that I came to you with? My biggest goals are, I'm not sleeping, I have acne, and my libido's low. Can you help me explain my 3 goals are these things? How is killing parasites going to align with the goals that I have? And the practitioner should be able to answer that very easily. Okay. And then, it's not that you doubt them, but it's that you want to know when push comes to shove and I'm taking mimosa pudica and seeing worms coming out of my like in the toilet, that I know why I'm doing this thing. Because self-doubt is going to cause everything to break apart. So we all have this voice that says, you're making things worse. This was a mistake. Maybe you're just broken. So let's pause right there, because you're not broken. You're just experiencing a shift, and shifts can be uncomfortable, especially when your body is processing years of stress, inflammation, toxic load. A lot of the women that I work with one-on-one have been experiencing this toxic load issue for 30 plus years. Okay. We cannot expect in a week or a month, or to be honest, even a year, that we're going to be right as rain, absolutely perfect. Absolutely no way. Though there are those individuals. In fact, I just graduated a client yesterday, and we started working together in May 2024, and we went through her blood work. Today, I'm recording this episode the end of March 2025. And I was like, you're ready for graduation. We've made significant changes and shifts. I'm very happy with where we're at. There are a couple things we're still working on, but we don't need to see each other as often. And she came to me with a significant amount of inflammation. And so I'm not saying that these things can't take a total 180, but to expect it right out the gate is just setting yourself up for failure. And here's the truth I want you to hold on to. Healing can look like failure. It can look like exhaustion. It can look like emotional release, diarrhea, bloating, acne flares, or the sudden need to sleep a whole bunch. These are all signs that your body is responding if you're on the right protocol and you've asked your practitioner, okay, again, my goals are 1, 2, 3. How does the plan that we've created align with the goals that I have? Always. In fact, a study published in the Journal of Clinical Infectious Diseases notes that Lyme treatment, around 30% of patients experience a Herxheimer reaction, often feeling sicker within the first 72 hours of treatment before any improvements kick in. And the same thing is true for HRT protocols, where patients often report mood swings, water retention, breast tenderness before they feel symptom relief. These effects tend to resolve in about 2 to 6 weeks, according to data that I pulled from the Balanced Menopause Clinic. And I see that in my practice also, though I don't rely as heavily on HRT rather than other practitioners, because I'm always asking, well, what's at the root of this? Of course, if you've experienced menopause and your estrogen is low because your ovaries are not creating enough estrogen, makes sense. But why have the adrenals not taken up the slack? And that's my next question, is always, as a woman is transitioning from regular cycles through the experience of perimenopause, experienced menopause, and is now postmenopausal, how can we support the adrenals as much as possible? Because the adrenals will dictate our experience through menopause, period. Liver will also too, but adrenal. So why does this matter? Because the expectation management of a protocol and an undertaking that you are making physically is everything. If you think healing should feel amazing and within a couple of days you're going to be right as rain, you're going to see every ache as a failure and you're likely not even going to make it to the 2-week mark. But if you expect that your body is going to recalibrate, that every symptoms becomes a data point and not a danger to your plan. So this is the part where I see people quit. They stop taking their binder, they drop their hormone cream, they start drinking coffee again because the headache was like too much. They say like, this isn't working, when in fact they were almost there. Now, I have had a handful of clients. Oh man, I can think of just a couple where we opened up drainage pathways. We spent a significant time on drainage pathways. Everything was going really good. And in fact, their symptoms of mold, parasites, metals, chemicals started reducing. So we're like, okay, we're on the right track. Then we incorporated an antimicrobial. And within like a couple of days, things get dark, very dark. And we're like, okay, let's hold steady. Let's back down a little bit. Let's bring in some Herxheimer care. Okay, let's see how it goes. And the body's just like, nope, this sucks. And they can barely do their life. That's a sign that we need to backtrack. We already did drainage. The drainage was open. The body's not prepared for detox. We got to do a redox plan. We got to get in there and we got to really build up the body because the body is not ready for this detox. That's not what I'm saying here, where it's like, just hold steady, push through. Not at all. Not at all with this one. We are taking a moment to chat about something really important that's come up. And if you've been using MOPure's liquid Biocell collagen like I have, this is going to matter to you. As you may have heard, MOPure recently filed for bankruptcy. And as a result, the Biocell patent has defaulted back to the original patent owner. That means liquid Biocell collagen is temporarily off the market. It's expected to return in 3 to 4 months, but I couldn't wait that long, not for me and not for my clients. So I did what I always do when things in the wellness world change. I dove deep into the research. I looked at every collagen option out there. Ask me a question about collagen, I will have the answer for you. But I also asked a bigger question, which is, why do so many collagen products underperform? And what can we do to actually see results? What I created out of that process is something that I'm really proud to share with you. It's called the 4-week Inside Out Reset. It's not just a swap-in replacement for Biocell. It's a full system designed to restore the conditions your body needs to regenerate healthy skin, strong hair, and resilient nails from the inside out. This is a 3-pillar protocol that goes beyond collagen. We include structural support with targeted peptides and collagen, cellular and metabolic rejuvenation so your body can actually use those ingredients, and topical care for your skin and scalp to reinforce results on the outside. I built this reset using tools that I've tested in client protocols since late 2024. It includes the exact products I recommend now, why they work, and how they compare to other brands, and most importantly, how to use them for real results. If your skin feels dull, your hair is thinning, or you're tired of wasting your money on collagen products that don't deliver, this is your next step. You can download the full reset guide now. It's totally free, and it's clear, science-backed information that shows you exactly what I'm using and why. You can go to mygrowinghair.com to download. If you decide to do the reset with us, just text the number inside the guide and I'll personally check in with you each week as we go via text message. I'm committing to doing this personally for 3 months and I'd love to support you through it. Again, go to mygrowinghair.com to download the free collagen guide. When it comes to the practical side of things, like we've covered some of the practical items, but one thing that I do see quite a lot is an emotional detox. When we start healing, it's not just the body that's letting go. It's also the stories, the survival mechanisms, and the identities that we've built around being the tired one or the anxious one or the person that always gets bloated. So what I've seen a lot is that sometimes we'll get stuck in these identities. And a lot of this has to do with grief work. And that's healing too. I can think of a couple of clients in the past where, they were the quote unquote, in their words, the broken one. Like of the relationship, they're always the one that's broken and they're always the one that needs care. And to go out of that is to release an identity that's so deep in our core. And one of the most powerful shifts I've witnessed personally and with clients is when someone realizes that they're no longer identifying with the illness, with the imbalance. And that can feel disorientating. Like all of a sudden you're not that person, and that can stop us from healing. So if you're suddenly crying for no reason, or if old memories resurface, I have experienced this a lot. When I'm going through a detox, all of a sudden I'll start obsessing over this thing that happened, and all these old memories are coming up and things that I thought that I had released, but I haven't. If you feel like a strange mix of fear and hope, it's not you falling apart. It's really just an expansion of the detox process. And your nervous system may resist at first. It'll say like, this doesn't feel safe. Let's go back. But your job is to remind your body, we are safe now. We are healing now. We're allowed to feel good. I'm safe. I'm healing. I'm allowed to feel good. And if that feels unfamiliar, like being safe, it's okay. But I would say that the large majority of individuals who can't detoxify and are just like stuck in this endless loop, it really has to do with the lack of safety that their body feels because of some projection. I'll explain. So a real big turning point in my personal experience with detoxification has been allowing myself food. Okay, so when I was going through mold detoxification and the parasite that nearly abolished my liver and those things, I would always come back to, okay, well, since I can't manage these symptoms of mold and exposures, I'm going to manage what I can control, which is the food I'm putting in my body. And so I would try to limit that and manipulate that. And it was always this stuck point until I just said, you know what, I'm going to eat and I'm just going to see what happens. And that was a huge turning point for me. And you're allowed to grieve who you were while still celebrating who you are becoming through this process. And I would say just as much as taking the binders and making sure that you have the minerals and mitochondrial function, it's also making sure that you take time to understand and respect the experience of the emotional detox. So if you're feeling worse before you're feeling better, I want you to take like a deep breath, go back to the key principles. And I would encourage you, if you're working with a practitioner on this, go to them and say, like, what are my goals and how are what I'm doing right now aligning with the goals? Because that'll just help you understand, if my goals are to sleep better, to have better libido, and to have more energy. How is what we're doing now aligning with those goals so that I can get behind this, so I have confidence in this? And your body might be finally processing what it's held on to for years. And so the goal isn't to push through blindly. It's to understand the process, support the process, trust the process. Okay. And if you're feeling totally lost, we cover all of this in the root cause group and we walk through this every week. I'm there coaching women just like you who are like deep into it, or they're wanting to get deep into it and they haven't really found the right way to do that. And if this episode resonated, come join us for like that next level support. Like I said, I take you through with videos and modules to go through it. And then I'm also available in chat Monday to Friday to answer questions as they come up. And yeah. So thanks for listening to the podcast today. I definitely encourage you to share this with a friend who needs encouragement and let me know what your biggest takeaway was. You can @ me at Leanne Vogel on Instagram, and I'm excited to see you here next week. Okay, bye. Thanks for listening to the Healthful Pursuit Podcast. Join us next Tuesday for another episode of the show. If you're looking for free resources, there are a couple of places you can go. The first to my blog, healthfulpursuit.com, where you're going to find loads of recipes. The second is a free parasite protocol that I've put together for you that outlines symptoms, testing, and resources to determine whether or not you have a parasite, plus a full protocol to follow to eradicate them from your life if you need to. That's available at healthfulpursuit.com/parasites. And last but certainly not least, a full list of blood work markers to ask your doctor for so that you can get a full picture of your health. You can grab that free resource by going to healthfulpursuit.com/labs. The Healthful Pursuit podcast, including show notes and links, provides information in respect to healthy living, recipes, nutrition, and diet, and is intended for informational purposes only. The information provided is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor is it to be construed as such. We cannot guarantee that the information provided on the Healthful Pursuit podcast reflects the most up-to-date medical research. Information is provided without any representation or warranties of any kind. Please consult a qualified health practitioner with any questions you may have regarding your health and nutrition program.